What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get to it.
The Peugeot 3008 is built on the PF2 platform, like the previously reviewed Citroën C4 of two generations C4 Picasso, Peugeot 307, 308 and other cars of PSA concern. But it is a little bit bigger and with its peculiarities in terms of equipment. The car is a typical minivan and its crossover is expressed only in a little brutal plastic of wheel arches, yes, in optional electric drive of a rear axle in hybrid variants. And the folding rear board is, perhaps, a curtsy in the direction of the Range Rover. The body of Peugeot 3008 is one volume, with a huge number of capacities, with excellent internal volume and in general absolutely minivan. To call it a crossover is a bit strange. I assume that here somewhere a marketer has dug up, plus a great love of people to off-road us. The 3008's motors are transversely arranged, and there is not much choice. Two variants of the EP6 gasoline motor in supercharged and non-supercharged versions, and, after restyling, a rather interesting 3-cylinder supercharged motor. Diesel variants are represented by 3 DV6 modifications of different power and a 2-liter DW10. Full-fledged automatic transmission is available only in versions with a supercharged gasoline engine and 2-liter diesel, and such cars were produced for a limited time. Even in pair with a 1.6-liter diesel engine was installed a robotic automatic transmission with shift mechanisms from Magneti Marelli, very similar to the Italian Sealy Speed. Hybrid variant of Peugeot 3008 is interesting from the point of view of layout. The electric motor is not mechanically connected with the engine and drives the rear axle. The concept is clearly aimed at maximum cheapening, but nevertheless allows you to get a conventional all-wheel drive on a platform already mastered in production without major changes to the body. In general, this car looks unusual and stylish, and the quality of finishing hints at Peugeot's aspiration to consider itself a premium brand. It is a pity that the design of the car is too specific, and the French, in our country, as I said above, are clearly disliked. Timeline: June 2009. Start of sales of Peugeot 3008 in Europe. Offered with a 1.6-liter gasoline engine, 120 horsepower, with manual transmission, 1.6-liter turbo diesel, 109 horsepower, in combination with a 6-speed manual transmission or robotic gearbox EGS6, and a variant with a 2-liter turbo diesel, 150 horsepower, in combination with a 6-speed manual transmission. The body is only 5-door, but there is a version with a panoramic roof. September 2009. Start of sales of the most powerful version, 1.6 THP with a 155 horsepower engine and with an optional 6-speed automatic transmission ASIN. March 2010. Sales of the version with a 2-liter turbo diesel, 163 horsepower, combined with a 6-speed automatic transmission began. July 2010. The 1.6-liter turbo diesel was upgraded to -€5 version with 112 horsepower. March 2011. Start of sales of all-wheel drive hybrid version with 1.6-liter, 112 horsepower, and 2.0-liter, 163 horsepower diesel engines. October 2013. Restyling of the model. Updating of exterior, onboard systems, interior. Diesel engines with a volume of 1.6 liters were replaced by a version with an output of 114 horsepower. July 2015. Second minor restyling. The 1.6 THP engine received -€6 version, 165 horsepower. Cars with this engine lost automatic transmission. Atmospheric motor 1.6 liters was replaced by a supercharged 3-cylinder motor with a volume of 1.2 liters, 130 horsepower. Peugeot 3008 with such a motor was offered only with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Diesel engine 1.6 also received an upgrade to -€6, 120 horsepower. October 2016. End of production. Body. Exterior panels. Like all other cars on the PF2 platform, the body of the Peugeot 3008 uses both galvanized sheet and plastic. The body metal sheets are single-sided galvanized, but not a bad body workout keeps the metal mostly intact. And the age of these cars is far from advanced. The majority of corrosive manifestations from the outside should be searched literally with a magnifying glass. Small chips above the windshield and on the edge of the roof almost do not bloom. The edges of the arches also have a minimum of damage, and if there were no body repairs, then here the chances of seeing corrosion are minimal. The oldest examples from Moscow and St. Petersburg may have corrosion on the inner edge of the arch, but it will not be visible from the outside for a long time. It is worth looking closely at the door hole plugs and the molding on the sill, the attachment points of which spread red blotches. On cars from humid regions, molding on the door is fixed a little better, and on the doors it is necessary to inspect only the inner underside in the places of adhesion of the rubber seal and all rubber inserts. Chances to find rust somewhere else in an unbeaten car are about zero. From below, inspection from underneath shows that cars are not as perfect as they look from the outside. Steel is still rusty, but the manufacturer has hidden all the problem areas away, which can only be reached with the help of an elevator or by disassembling the covering panels. Quite a lot of corrosion can be seen on the underbody brackets and in the rear part of the body around the fuel tank. This is normal. Metal here is not covered with anything, and only seams are covered with a layer of sealant. Small ulcers of surface corrosion can be found in those places of the body where ventilation is worse and which are not heated. And in general, the picture is similar to what can be seen in Peugeot 307 and 308, but at an earlier stage. And we can say that 3008 still has 5 years before really deep corrosion. Unfortunately, most owners do nothing to remedy the situation, and almost no one does underbody and hidden cavity anti-corrosion. This is bad, because the sill is also inclined to rot from inside. It is noticeable on copies that have undergone body repairs. In such cars, the sill is cut off and replaced with a repair one. Rusty sill reinforcement and its lower edge from the inside is rather a norm, and in 5 years sills will be replaced as massively as on Peugeot 307. And while there are no traces of internal processes visible from the outside, this danger is preferred to ignore. Very dense design of the front part creates a funny problem. On the body cup sometimes accumulates garbage in the form of twigs and stale leaves, and on the edge of the pillar support and on the nearest seams of the body you can notice small points of rust. In addition, the foam panel inserts under the windshield have a bad habit of accumulating moisture and rubbing the body metal a bit, which eventually leads to a few small pockets of corrosion. It is difficult to inspect this area, but it is highly recommended. At the door openings, inspect the sills under the rubber seal. Rust in these areas will tell you that there are already problems inside the sill. Body equipment. A large windshield means not only excellent visibility, but also an increased chance of chipping. After 150,000 mileage, the glass is noticeably rubbed. In favor of passive safety in collisions with pedestrians, it is made soft, and Chinese glass is noticeably stiffer. Glasses inside doors of smokers scratch easily and casually, and by mileage of 200,000 the driver's window usually has noticeable vertical strips rubbed by the sealant. Lensed headlights burn out, and on cars before restyling usually shine very conditionally. Most cars have optics with a simple reflector, and the headlights will be rubbed at most. True, Peugeot is not very fond of owners, so it will be difficult to replace the bulb of DHO by yourself. About the fact that chrome elements in our climate do not live long, it is not necessary to speak. Unfortunate choice of chemistry at car washes and usual road chemistry lead to the fact that all shiny elements gradually become matte. For cars in simple complete sets it is not a trouble, but 3008 has Arabian versions on which chrome covers have even mirror housings and all door moldings. For them our climate is a real disaster. However, many elements can be bought on Chinese trading sites for reasonable money. The foam seal on the water-reflecting panel under the windshield tends to freeze to the hood in winter and often breaks off when it is opened. A funny feature of Peugeot 3008 is connected with windshield wipers. They have a motor for each wiper, and the front ones are synchronized only by wires. The left one is the leading one, and in general their work is tied to onboard electronics. In case of any violations in the electrics, failures of the BSI block or banal corrosion of connectors of the gear motor itself, when the ignition is switched on, the wipers will throw like mad. Peugeot 3008 has such a nice option as keyless access. The side door handles are quite reliable, and although there are some breakages, they have not become mass. But the rear door could have an option of opening with the foot. The sensor recognized the waving of the foot under the rear bumper. And just this sensor now usually doesn't work anymore. There are few cars with keyless access, and mostly they are late models, so the statistics on such failures is small, but it hints at the existence of a design flaw. Well, it is worth noting that the original key fobs wear out surprisingly quickly. The keychain case has to be replaced after 5 years of use, the buttons on it sag, and its coating is scratched. Fortunately, Chinese key cases are inexpensive, and there are no problems with their replacement. Part original price of non-original 2-body front halogen headlight 19408 TYC 13945 Valeo 16151 windshield 28513 AGC 25 292 KMK 11 577 front wing 17 378 Polestar 16 898 Koa 12 397 front bumper 23 911 Polestar 17 444 Fira 11 904 hood 31 777 API 26 319 TYG 3444 interior. Very high quality interior in its time was a big advantage of Peugeot 3008 over German minivans and crossovers of the same price category. It is everything: a pleasant design, excellent elaboration of all elements, excellent uniform style, and a heap of soft plastic. Besides, the interior is comfortable enough. True, only if there is quiet tires and it is warm outside. On studded tires and in cold season the salon is upset by bad noise insulation of arches and squeaks. Well, let's make a discount on the fact that the French have a very mild winter and they have already forgotten about our frosts. From the frank minuses it is possible to name very weak original steering wheels which already by 50,000 kilometers looked as if the car has passed all 300, leather fading in shreds, leaks and scuffs. The steering wheels were replaced under warranty, and the replaced ones serve normally by the mileage even over 200,000 kilometers. They look shabby, but not more than that. The funniest and most serious problem is wet and falling off felt mats of trunk noise insulation. They are glued to the body under the trunk liner side cover panels, and over time they get wet and fall down. And just under them are the louvers of the cabin ventilation. As a result, the 3008 climate system stops working normally. The fan howls, but the airflow is not created, and when you open the windows, the air starts to leave the car with noise. You can solve the problem in 5 minutes, but you need to know what happened and what to do about it. Breakage of the electric handbrake button is a common problem, but it is solved quickly and cheaply. Otherwise, everything here is of premium quality, except for the leather seats. Fabric seats do not notice wear at all, and only in cars with mileage much over 200,000 the driver's seat starts to rub along the seams. And in rare cars with leather the seams get hairy already by 100,000 kilometers of mileage. The scratchable glovebox cover is rather just a feature related to the use of soft-touch plastic and ergonomics of the model. Climatic system in the absence of problems with felt mats fallen on ventilation louvers does not cause any problems. By the mileage of 150,000 kilometers one should be ready to the fact that the fan will start to make noise because of wear of brushes and collector. The heater leaks only if the cooling system is filled with unknown what instead of antifreeze and the engine was overheated. Radiators do not withstand this, neither the main one nor the heater. The air conditioning system is strong, and if the car was not in an accident, the most probable reason of its failure will be malfunction of the clutch or simply lack of pressure in the system. Electrics. You will have noticed by now that I have mentioned the BSI unit. Along with it, there is another important unit under the hood, BSM, and I told you about how much trouble they cause in the review of Peugeot 307, 308 and the first Citroën C4. By the time the 3008 was released, the main problems had been solved and the stability of the BSM was achieved, but you need to remember the main features of PSA's electrical system on the PF2 platform. Airtightness of the BSM unit under the hood is very conditional. It is not in vain indicated, do not wash, it is afraid of water, even after serious improvement of waterproofing. So it is necessary to be careful with puddles, with washing of engine compartment and similar things. the block has been made even less repairable in the fight against corrosion, and the relays are still soldered into the main board, including the gasoline pump power relay. In case of its failure, there are several ways to solve the problem: look for a suitable BSM unit and flash it, open the old one, or hang an external relay if possible. It is good that such failure is more peculiar to cars with mileage over 200,000, and the bulk of 3008 only approaches these figures. The BSI unit does not cause any trouble at all, but strange operation of wipers, light and alarm system malfunctions are all its faults. It is expensive and troublesome to fix, especially if the dealer does the work. It is better to find PSA specialists who unbind blocks and know how to transfer configuration data from a new block to a used one. On gasoline cars is not happy with the small resource of the generator. Already to 100,000 mileage, its bearings and brushes are well worn out, and the relay regulator can serve even less. For this we should say thank you to the hot temper of the motor. There are also many complaints about the rapid aging of batteries. I have already mentioned about the handbrake button and the complicated system of windshield wipers above, but besides them there are other, more minor malfunctions in electrics. These are punctures with wiring to ABS sensors of rear wheels and overheating of the head unit of the top multimedia system due to dust and aging of thermal paste, and malfunctions in the left paddle switch in which the cable breaks, and loss of Bluetooth signal on some versions of stereos, and loss of pixels on black and yellow displays. All this is not very expensive to solve. Almost all elements are available in Chinese version, but hassle with them is inevitable. And the more tricked out a car is, the more problems it will have. Fortunately, mostly cars are empty as a drum, and in the best case they have automatic climate control, panoramic roof and dashboard with a large display, and keyless access, rain sensors, electric seats, and all that other stuff is a rarity. Intermediate summary. Well, that's all for today. Let's dwell on the fact that the body of Peugeot 3008 is very good. If the car has not been beaten, it is unlikely to find too rusty copy that requires expensive repair. The interior is even better. Quality materials and good level of comfort will make even those who do not consider French as good cars respect Peugeot. But there are still problems in electrics, and some of them should be solved correctly with search and attraction of specialists on this brand. In this case, it will be possible to get by with little blood, and if not to worry about regular small failures, 3008 will please from this side. It is a pity that the design of this car will be appreciated only by fans of French style, which in our country are not too many. And among them there are those who are afraid of French gearboxes and EP6 motors. However, about it in the second part of the review. In conclusion, the Peugeot 3008 offers a striking design and a solid body that appeals to many drivers. However, potential buyers should be aware of the electrical glitches that can arise, which may detract from the overall driving experience. While the mileage is commendable, it's essential to weigh the pros and cons before making a decision. Ultimately, the Peugeot 3008 can be a great choice for those who value style and comfort, but staying informed about its quirks is crucial for a satisfying ownership experience. Thank you for watching, and we hope this insight helps you in your car buying journey.